man charged with multiple felonies in Douglas County Court this afternoon.
William Rodriguez Fraga faces 10 charges related to financial transaction devices and forgery. 6 News' Philip Catafamo has more.
Over the summer, a victim told Douglas County sheriffs her debit card was used by someone other than herself. All told, it's 11 transactions, all to buy large amounts of diesel fuel, totaling more than $2,000. The victim did not notice the charges until late September. Almost 2 months later, deputies investigated another unauthorized charge. A second victim had 17 illegal charges, believing her business fleet card was compromised. Authorities say camera footage from several Hy-Vee gas stations showed Rodriguez Fraga filling up 10 gas cans with diesel.
In this instance, they were doing $100 to $150 at a time for transactions, specifically with cards that did not require a PIN code, because they did not have the hardware in place in a manner that would allow them to capture those PIN codes.
An investigation at his apartment revealed multiple Walmart cash cards, blank debit credit cards, a card reader, and Hy-Vee receipts. Investigators also found cards belonging to 4 dozen people. Rodriguez Fraga had no explanation for why. Douglas County Deputy Michael DeChellis says Rodriguez Fraga's operations would vary.
Sometimes it would be 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes it would be 2 or 3 times in a day. Devices
are placed over card readers and gas pumps with double-sided tape.
It's pressed on as an overlay over the card reader, and they're described as skimmers because that's what they're doing. They're not preventing the transaction from going through, they're just reading the magnetic strip as the device passes through.
Most of the time, these crimes are committed by fraud groups from overseas.
They are generally brought here illegally for a period of time. They drive around the country committing these crimes, and then assuming they don't get arrested, they probably leave. In this instance, because it's a local group, it gave us a little bit more ability to take action on it.
He says Rodriguez Fraga is part of a local fraud group that has a history in the county.
We had at least a half dozen cases a year and a half or so ago, and then it just started back up this summer into the fall.
DeChellis says they are working with Homeland Security to crack down on this type of crime. If you see a skimmer on a device, inform local law enforcement and your bank. On your side in Omaha, Philip Catafamo, 6 News.
Rodriguez Fraga due back in court next month for a preliminary hearing. His bond is set for $100,000.